you since 6 o'clock on the WHAS11 night team, from the Colonel to the classroom. The original Louisville headquarters of Colonel Sanders' creation, now going from fried chicken to educators.
This donation from Yum Brands is the equivalent of a brand new elementary school in JCPS.
The massive donation to JCPS, an 11-acre campus. Some city leaders wanted JCPS downtown. Their reaction to this gift. Plus,
we have worked for 12 months, if not longer, to be able to show the citizens of Brandenburg where every bit of that money goes. We've broken it down, every penny where it's used for.
The WHAS11 night team is the only Louisville team there as Brandenburg votes in a first-ever tax. The mayor talks to us one-on-one. The other tax he took off the table. And then a late developing story today. Kroger's final deal in the South End, closing its longtime store next to Churchill Downs. Right now on the WHAS11 night team. First off here at 11 o'clock, we begin with breaking news just into the newsroom. A teenager is now reported missing in the Ohio River after swimming in the river right near the Greenwood boat ramp in southwest Jefferson County. Dive crews from Metro Police are still in the water as we are speaking tonight. Metro Police say it all began about 8:30 tonight where some teenagers were swimming in the Ohio River when one of them did not resurface. All the other swimmers have gotten out of the water okay and safely. PRP Fire, Louisville Fire had divers in the water as well, attempting to search. LMPD's River Unit has now taken over the search. Again, late word from Metro Police. The search for the teenager is still underway here at this late hour at 11 o'clock. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us on the night team. I'm Doug Proffitt. We also have more breaking news to pass along tonight. A teenager is dead after a shooting in the Newburgh neighborhood tonight, not far from GE's Appliance Park. Police are asking neighbors for any video from the area as well. Metro Police responding to this shooting at 7:30 tonight on Ridgecrest Road. Officers arrived. They found a teenage boy suffering from a fatal gunshot wound outside a house there. Metro Police are saying that its detectives are trying to find a motive for this, quote, senseless act of violence, end quote, and they're asking for all witnesses or anyone with relevant video footage, no matter how small they think it may be, to share it with them. The anonymous tip line is 574-LMPD. Brand new tonight with just a week left as JCPS's leader, the superintendent, Marty Polio, announcing a $40 million donation, a huge gift to the school district by Yum Brands, the home of Kentucky Fried Chicken. The iconic White House building with the columns on Gardner Lane that was built in 1970 could now house the school district's brand new headquarters. All it needs is the board's vote of approval. That would come tomorrow night. WHS 11 Night Team's Alex Dieter is talking with city leaders who had hoped for JCPS to move downtown.
I fell out of my seat. Like, I absolutely was floored.
A $40 million donation from Yum Brands to JCPS on Colonel Sanders Lane, an 11.5-acre space with 2 office buildings, including the well-known White House building with the columns, all donated to the school district for their new headquarters.
When I got that, I was blown away and said, how quickly can we lock this up so they don't change their minds on us?
Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio now recommending the board to approve the donation that would move offices from Van Hoos, the Lamb Building, and CB Young, all to the Yum Brands building. With a $150 million budget cut over 2 years to the district looming, board member Taylor Everett said this move is hopeful.
With our situation fiscally, this is just a gift that is going to help so many kids.
JCPS has been at the Van Hoos Center since the 1950s. Dr. Polio said that when he took over as superintendent back in 2017, he knew that these 3 administrative buildings were going to have some major renovations.
It came down to the time, though, that we're going to have to make a decision either to renovate our central offices at the cost of $40 million or to look for an outside spot.
Polio says the $40 million is equivalent to 1 brand new elementary school in Louisville.
Well, hopefully it funds a new school because JCPS still needs more buildings. We need more here in the West End, but really all over the city.
But city leaders like President and CEO of Louisville Urban League, Lyndon Pryor, were hopeful the headquarters would move to West Louisville.
And it saves a lot of money, and so I'm not mad at them for going into the Yum Brands facility there.
And Councilman Ken Herndon was hoping for a move to downtown.
Well, as disappointed as I am that they're not going to be in downtown, I can't blame them at all for accepting such a generous gift. Great location. They can take care of their buses there, the whole thing. It fits for them.
They both see it as an offer the district can't refuse.
How confident are you that the board will vote to accept this donation tomorrow?
I am 100% confident that we will be accepting this donation tomorrow. I normally don't give away the vote, but this one, I'm fine with saying that.
While the future for Yum Louisville offices is still unknown, the future for JCPS seems certain. In Louisville, Alex Dieterer, the WHAS11 Night Team on your side.
The CEO of Yum Brands here in Louisville, David Gibbs, said, quote, "This donation reflects Yum's longstanding commitment to Louisville and its belief in the power of education to unlock opportunity," end quote. He goes on to say the company is evaluating several possibilities across our city for where to move Yum employees and will decide in the next coming months.
We haven't been briefed. They should have called us all back instead of staying on vacation and doing fundraisers and saying, oh, well, the president's got this under control. We're going to cede our constitutional authority.
Kentucky Republican Representative Thomas Massie blasting the Trump administration over the weekend following the weekend bombing of nuclear facilities in Iran. Massie calling the president's actions unconstitutional and says he's now worried it'll bring the United States into an unwanted war. President Trump calling Massie, quote, "a pathetic loser," and then announcing the conflict may be over before it begins, posting to social media late today that Israel and Iran have agreed to a ceasefire. Iran had already retaliated for the U.S. strike, sending missiles targeting a U.S. base in Qatar, considered the heartbeat of U.S. military operations in the Middle East. Here's ABC's Melissa Dunn. She's got the latest on the ever-developing story, and will the war really be over in 24 hours?
President Trump says Israel and Iran have agreed to a complete and total ceasefire after more than a week of exchanging attacks. The agreement of the two 12-hour ceasefire periods, according to Trump, set to begin after midnight on the East Coast. Iran will first initiate the 12-hour ceasefire. Then Israel will follow with the second 12-hour ceasefire. After 24 hours, the war will be officially declared ended. Neither Iran nor Israel has confirmed they have agreed to a ceasefire. Earlier Monday, Iran attacking a U.S. base in Qatar, shutting down Qatari airspace and sending a shelter-in-place order that was later lifted. This in response to strikes on 3 key Iranian nuclear sites ordered by President Trump over the weekend. 2 U.S. officials confirming missiles were launched at the Al Udeid Air Base where U.S. troops are stationed, the largest U.S. military base in the region. This video shows the moment Iran claims it launched the missiles that could be seen flying over Doha. There were no reported casualties in Tehran's retaliatory attack. Following this weekend's historic U.S. strikes, administration officials stressed the goal of the operation was not regime change in Iran, stressing it should come from within.
First of all, we don't want to achieve regime change. We want to achieve the end of the Iranian nuclear program.
This mission was not and has not been about regime change.
What we are focused on is not the changing of the regime.
Melissa Dunn, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Also today, right here in our studios, we talked with retired Brigadier General Rob Givens of Louisville. He was part of the original group of Air Force fighters who bombed Baghdad in Operation Desert Storm and Iraqi freedom in the 90s. Live on our 5:30 newscast tonight, he nearly predicted the ceasefire that was announced 1 hour later tonight, saying he believed we were heading towards a ceasefire based off of his past experiences in the Middle East.
We saw this in 21 when we engaged and took out the head of the Quds Force in Iraq, and then Iran responded with an attack on Al Asad Air Base, and then the status quo returned. I think we're at a point where the status quo is not helpful. So hopefully Iran will see the light and will come to the negotiating table.
President Trump had also said that Iran had alerted the U.S. about the attack on the Qatar military base ahead of time. Givens told us he believes the messaging from Iran could have been just a warning to the U.S. that they will retaliate if the United States continues to take further action. Givens served under several administrations, attacking Baghdad under the orders of former President, the late George H.W. Bush. Meantime, there continues to be some serious concern about what these airstrikes could mean for the tensions in the Middle East. Rabbi Ben Fried of Louisville, who has loved ones in Israel, tells us no one is a winner if a larger conflict breaks out because of these strikes.
I think really it's a combination of the potential for prolonged conflict and the potential for many, many more lives lost. The fear of retaliation is not just about me personally, it's about my friends, my family, and just my co-religionists, my other Jews that I care for deeply.
The peace talks between the two countries do bring some hope for a lasting peace, but Givens told us today it would take just as much courage from the U.S. to get to the negotiating table as it did to drop those bombs. He said it would mean an attitude change from America about the Iranians. Switching gears, all new Sin 6, WHAS 1119, the only Louisville station in Brandenburg tonight, covering the passage of a first ever tax. The folks there will soon see a new tax on their paychecks. The mayor says residents will barely feel it and the money is needed for the budget. But business owners were hopeful for another solution tonight. WHAS 1119's Jose Alonso and photojournalist Emma Gefter report from Meade County.
There was heated tension within the city of Brandenburg City Council meeting.
My business is 2 years old and I'm not necessarily turning a profit yet.
On Mayor David Pace, the council's and community's agenda was the fate of a 1/3% occupational tax that would impact most businesses and their employees within the city limits.
Mayor Pace says the money from this tax will go into the general fund and help them hire an additional police officer focused on public safety, infrastructure, and other amenities as well. But taxpayers say there's not enough transparency on where exactly these dollars are going.
Give us a simple list that says, here is what we're going to do with X dollars.
Business owners like Brian Chisholm attended the meeting to let the city know how they feel about this new tax.
1/3%, in today's economy, every little penny matters. And if you could give a clear answer as to what it's going to be spent for, I think that's an easier pill for people to swallow, but to date we haven't got that.
We do have funds in other accounts, but by Kentucky law, you cannot take water and sewer funds to offset the shortages in general fund.
Council members did successfully pass amendments to the ordinance, with the mayor having to break a tied vote, adding a cap and ceiling on who will be impacted by the tax.
Anybody makes below $20,000 is tax exempt, and anybody that makes over $200,000 is exempt for anything above $200,000. They'll pay all the way up to the $200,000, but we think that's a pretty fair shake.
In the end, it was up to the mayor, again, to break a tied vote, this time on whether the new tax ordinance will pass.
So I am voting yes to the ordinance.
With a new tax coming to these businesses and workforce, it's up to them to bridge their community back together. In Brandenburg, Jose Alonso, WHAS 11 team on your side.
Well, the Brandenburg mayor also told us that they'll see in time if this new tax will help them meet their annual budget as it goes into effect soon on the 1st of July. He does not expect anyone to push for that previous restaurant tax that residents and business owners had opposed. Also new tonight, we're in Jeffersonville, where the city in Indiana has voted not to partner with Utica Township to cover their community with fire and EMS services. Again, the fire territory had previously been approved, but they were forced to cut the budget from $30 million to $18 million now due to a brand new Indiana state law just passed. During the council meeting tonight, Jeffersonville Mayor Mike Moore and the Jeffersonville Fire Deputy Chief asked the council to rescind the agreement, saying it was no longer worth the money.
You know our stance. Joe, we will not abandon you guys. I promise you. Okay? Whatever we won't do. So we can sit down at the table and come up with some kind of solution together.
Talking about not abandoning the fire service, obviously there. Previously, the mayor and the deputy chief had both supported covering the Utica Township Fire District. Jeffersonville Fire still has an agreement to aid Utica until January, but after that, they would need to find new coverage.